All right, ladies and gentlemen, the good doc's been waiting a pretty decent amount of time to tackle this particular video. But what is good? Of course, you know who I be. Good Doc, Dr. Mike TV, back again, once again. Shout out to the IPA, you know who you are. So my brother Joseph, shout out to him, sent me this particular video about this African-American brethren who goes by the YouTube channel name as Flight Madness. Make sure you check out his channel. His views on black men being lied to about the Philippines. Now, it's crazy to listen to everything that he had to say in this particular video, but as I got into it and as I started really listening into what he had to say, there were quite a few things that kind of dawned on me about his perspective that, to an extent, I actually can agree with from his perspective, right? You guys know that I'm pretty much diehard for the Philippines. I rock with it. I kind of base my entire channel, to an extent, around my experiences living in the Philippines. So I'm pretty much in a position to be able to talk about it and, share my experiences and share how, you may naysay this or, have a differing opinion about that, based off of what he said in this video. But I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. A greater majority of what he said in this video, I can agree with to an extent. So basically, what he starts off with is basically the women, right? About the women in the Philippines. He said that he had a friend that told him that women in the Philippines were very curvy. He started doing a little bit of a Tinder search and realized that, a lot of the girls on Tinder were kind of matching his vibe or what he was looking for in a woman. But when he gets to the Philippines, he was sadly disappointed, right? And then he did the one thing that I wish a lot of people wouldn't do, but I'm not mad that you do it because it's your experience and this is what you know. He tried to compare the Philippines to his big three, right? And if you don't know what the big three are, the big three in Asia, which I believe it was China, Japan, and China, Japan, and Korea, right? Let me give you this analogy because I think that I deal with an older audience and you guys are going to be able to pick up what the good doc is putting down. I want to take you back to 95. If you guys remember, I think it was 95, 96, 97, the Chicago Bulls. Maybe I'm wrong in that era, but I'm going to give you the analogy and you can get the years right? But I want to take you back to the 95 Bulls, right? You remember, we had who? We had Michael Jordan. We had Scottie Pippen. We had Dennis Rodman. You could throw in Ron Harper and a couple of Horace Grant and all them, but we're going to talk about those big three, right? Jordan, Pippen, Rodman. China, Japan, Korea. In that scenario, ladies and gentlemen, I would consider the Philippines to be the Steve Kerr of that 95 team, if Steve Kerr was on that team in 95. Jordan, Pippen, Rodman. Philippines, Steve Kerr, right? So in case you don't get what I'm trying to say, Steve Kerr was very clutch, won a lot of games, but at the same time, he was no Jordan, he was no Pippen, he was no Rodman. So it's very hard to compare women, in my personal opinion, from these countries, the three richest countries in Asia, I believe he said it was, to the Philippines, which is basically a third world country. We just got to call it for what it is. It's just very hard to make that comparison. And because I believe that he dealt with or has dealt with women in these countries that he talked about, the big three, it's going to skew your view. Right? If you've dealt with them, I can honestly say that dealing with a Filipina is a very, very stark contrast. Right? We're not going to sit here and sugarcoat shit. It's a very stark contrast. You're dealing with women that, let's call it for what it is, like I said, coming from a third world country. And also, if you don't know, most of the women in the Philippines aspire or inspired or are inspired by women that come from these big three countries, more specifically Korea. You got all these women in the Philippines trying to get this white ass skin, right? Trying to mimic and or look like this Korean, vibe and everything with the facial structure and, the whitening of the skin and all that stuff like I talked about before. When you got women in a country that's trying to look like or trying to be like, I guess, the Jordan of the big three, hard comparison, right? Very, very hard comparison. So I'm not saying that I disagree with his perspective on Filipino women. I'm just saying that his experiences and the women that he's dealt with have probably put it in his mind that, that's a standard. That's a very, very high standard to try to come by. And I do not believe that Filipinos, with all due respect, because I got nothing but love for my ladies, I don't think that they can kind of measure up. It's just unfortunate, but it's true. They are special in their own right? Let's not get it twisted. They have values and qualities that I do believe make them different and unique you know, to women from other countries, more specifically that big three. All right. So that was number one. Right. And then he talked about, he said, somebody said, hey, man, if you want to go to a place where they like, you know, black men and everything, they kind of recommended him go to this go-go bar. And he was like, yo, so basically, in order for me to put myself in a situation to be a black man that is attracted or attractive in the eyes of a Filipina, the only time they're going to find me to be attractive is if I'm paying for the activity or therefore paying for the activity of, you know, getting it in. Like, I got to be paying for it in order for them to be attracted to me. Damn, that was wordy. Might get it together. But in reality, the person that told him that definitely effed it up again, right? Because now you're putting it in this gentleman's head that, yo, man, the only time you're ever going to find a girl that even likes you or ever wants to give you the time of day, you know, you got to pay for it, man. You got to go to places where you got to pay for their attention, which is so wrong. So wrong. Right? And I'm not going to dwell on it or go in deep on that one because you guys should already know, man, that's not an activity that you're required to participate in, right? That P for P or that pay for play, not what you have to participate in. Although my mindset has changed about the idea of pay for play, you know, as I get older, doesn't mean that's necessarily an activity you have to participate in. And he did not necessarily seem like he was the one that was about that P for P life. And I respect that 100,000%, right? But then, you know, outside of, you know, the women and everything like that, he transitions into the ideology of guys moving out to the province to actually be with some of these women from the Philippines. Think about it. He was like, yo, man, you mean to tell me if I want to find a traditional woman, I have to travel all the way out into the Bukis or the farmlands or these places like this in order for me to find a good woman where the internet's bad and you're not going to have access to the things that you normally would as an American in certain countries and shit. He was like, that shit's laughable and hilarious. Again, not wrong. I mean, you do have to realize if you're looking for a traditional woman in that respect, and that traditional woman happens to live in a province, do you think about all the things that you're going to have to sacrifice if that's where you choose to move to? If you are about that calm and peaceful life, can't nobody say nothing to you. But at the same time, I'm going to tell you like it is, man. It couldn't be me, because I'm definitely going to miss some of the luxuries of, you know, having access to certain things. That's why me moving to the province like that is just probably not something that I would personally do, especially for a female. That is crazy. Now, a lot of guys bring them women to the, you know, to the city or whatever. Oh, I don't want to bring them to the city. They're going to get tainted. You know, so there's that tug of war, that push and pull with whether it's a good idea or not, bringing them to the United States or not. It's a whole vibe, right? But at the same time, he said for guys that have to do that, sounds absolutely ridiculous and crazy. And if you think about it and you say it out loud, again, the brother is not wrong. Then he transitions into the internet that they have in the Philippines and how not so good it is. And again, is he wrong? Absolutely not. PLDT, not no plug or anything, but at their highest speed of internet, it's still not great. Let's be real. It's still not great. It's still a little rough. All right. So again, a lot of the things that this brother was saying in this particular video is not necessarily wrong. I just believe that his prior experiences have kind of put him in a position to make certain assessments about the Philippines, you know, that other people may not have. Right. And that's okay. Right? Had I gone to, well, I have been to Japan and Korea before that, but I was very, very young. So I really didn't have a perspective on it to have, you know, in comparison to a time spent in the Philippines, which is where I ended up in my adult years. You know, at the same time, he not wrong. Had I probably been to Japan and really got to learn and understand it from my adult perspective, or Korea in my adult perspective, guess what? I probably would have said the same damn thing about the Philippines. I'd have been like, yo, this ain't what I thought. This is not what I thought it would be. People were hyping it up on the internet. Good Dr. Mike TV over here telling everybody go to the Philippines. They can get this, that, and the other. And I get over here and it's trash. Man, I've been lied to, right? You know, at the same time, prior experiences, I will say, kind of skew your view on certain places, right? Oh, well, they don't have this like they have in this country. They don't have that like they have in this country, and this, that, and the other, and, you know, whatever. I do believe that overall of those big three countries, and, you know, Philippines being Steve Kerr, hey, Still cheaper, right? It is what it is. I still believe that overall it'll probably be a more affordable place for a lot of people to live. And he said that, you know, his inspiration was he was looking to find a more affordable spot to kind of call home. And, you know, it just felt like he was lied to by all of these YouTubers and shit. And, you know, again, you have to take everything that these YouTubers say, including myself, tongue in cheek. Right? I like to have fun with this. I like to, you know, play around with a little bit of things, and, you know, my experiences will always be different than yours. At the same time, I pray that I've never lied to you about anything. I don't think that I have, and if I have said something that I needed to backtrack on, I have zero problem in doing so. But some of these YouTubers, man, they'll shine a light on some shit and just basically put you in a position to think, hey, man, this is the place to be. You get there and it ain't the place to be. So make sure you take a mental note of that. Shout out to Flight Madness for this particular video. I think it was pretty awesome, man. I appreciate his insight, right? Because it does give you a differing view, right? Of a lot of guys who are saying, yo, man, it has everything you need, everything, da-da-da-da-da. You do, you know, Philippines is everything. You know, it gives you that differing perspective of somebody who's lived in, you know, another country. Like he said, he was in China, or he was at least English teaching for 10 years. I'm not exactly sure if he was in China for all 10 of those years, or he's just been, you know, English teaching for that long. But shout out to the brother, man. I appreciate his content, and you should appreciate his content too, because at the same time, it does give you a differing perspective for anybody that's actually looking to make the trip or make a transition into another country. Now you say, hey, man, I'm not listening to everybody who's all positive, right? Or just saying all the good shit, but not giving me the bad shit. But the beautiful thing that I can say about this brother, he didn't take everybody's word at face value. He showed the fuck up. He showed up to the Philippines, man. And, you know, he got to experience it from himself. I do believe 2 weeks is a fair enough amount of time, but I wish he would have gave it a little bit longer to kind of find some of the things that, you know, most of us who have kind of lived there have found to be intriguing, interesting, and rather pleasurable about, you know, spending time in the Philippines. But at the same time, man, Philippines ain't for everybody, right? It's not everybody's cup of tea. You know, I may go somewhere else and say, damn, man, I wish I knew about this before the Philippines. You just never know, right? But again, that's what travel does. It opens your mind. It opens yourself to different experiences that you otherwise would not have had if you chose to sit still. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's my time, man, for the energy. Appreciate y'all locking in. It's been a good doc. Just like, share, comment, and subscribe. Y'all take care. Y'all stay blessed, man. Doc is out.